Today, we talking Mystical, who has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. Might sound bad, but he could have gotten life. Twista in trouble with the IRS. Nicki Minaj beats defamation case. So, Mystical has been sentenced to 20 years in a Louisiana grape case. The rapper was sentenced on June 16th to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty to graping a woman at his Louisiana home back in 2022. You know we have to talk in code on YouTube. What does grape rhyme with? Viewer discretion advised, as this video talks about sensitive issues such as grape, DV, and unaliving. Also, this video is for entertainment and information purposes, and everything is allegedly. Now that we have gotten all the nice cities out of the way, let's get into our first topic of discussion. Mystical, known for hits like Shake Your A and Here I Go, has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for graping a woman at his Louisiana home in 2022. Just a doggone shame. This conviction concludes a high-profile case that has spanned nearly 3 years. Mystical, whose real name is Michael Tyler, initially faced a first-degree grape charge, which carries a mandatory life sentence in Louisiana. However, a plea agreement reached in March allowed him to plead guilty to a reduced charge of third-degree grape. Despite attempting to withdraw his guilty plea before sentencing, Mystical's efforts were denied. He argued that he hadn't fully considered the consequences of his plea, but the court found no merit in his claim. That's interesting because the indication is that he is saying he did not realize the consequences of his pleading guilty, but does not necessarily say that he is claiming he didn't do it. His plea of guilty has brought this high-profile criminal case, this whole high-profile criminal case, to a close after nearly 3 years behind bars. So he was already behind bars. And my thoughts are he probably couldn't find or maybe afford a good enough lawyer to get him off, so he decided to plead guilty. The sentence follows a plea agreement that happened in March when Mystical pleaded guilty to a third-degree grape charge. So he accepted a plea deal, and he still got 20 years. This because of Louisiana mandatory sentencing guidelines for grape charges. Louisiana does not play about these types of offenses, obviously. If he had went to trial, he could have faced life in prison if convicted. So 20 years compared to life appears to be a pretty good deal. The deal reduced the original charge of first-degree grape, a crime that carries a mandatory life sentence in Louisiana. Oh, they don't play in Louisiana. They give out mandatory sentences for grape. Some people don't get this for unaliving people. Now, reportedly before the sentencing hearing, Mystical attempted to withdraw his guilty plea, but I guess by then it was too late. Court records show he argued that he did not have sufficient opportunity to fully consider the consequences. Oh, that's the reason you want to take back your guilty plea. Not because you're saying that you didn't do it, but you didn't have the opportunity to fully consider the consequences. That, and probably because you didn't have a good enough lawyer to get you off, is my opinion. It is said that an attorney for Mystical did not immediately respond to requests for comment following the sentencing. Now, is this the same lawyer that you had when you decided to put in the guilty plea? Mystical is a rapper from the late 1990s and early 2000s. He became widely known for his 2000 hit Shake Your A, Shake Your A, Watch Yourself, which earned him a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Solo Performance. Apparently, he was nominated, but he did not win. Now, this is not Mystical's first time behind bars for some serious charges. The same year, which was in 2003, that he received 2 more Grammy nominations for his album Tarantula, was nominated for Best Rap Album, while Bounce Back received a nomination for Best Male Rap Solo Performance. So once again he was nominated, but evidently he did not win. Now that same year, however, Mystical pleaded guilty to sexual battery and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Sounds like somebody has some issues here. So even though he has been behind bars before for a crime of sexual misconduct, now he has been sentenced again. Y'all, this is what is going on with Mystical. Let me know what you think about this. Mystical's son, Million Tyler, spoke on his dad being sentenced to 20 years behind bars in an interview with TMZ, and this is what he had to say. Fair use. The interviewer states your father, Mystical, was sentenced to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty to graping a woman. What are your thoughts on the sentencing? Let's listen.
I feel bad for the victim as well as my father. Nobody wins from these situations. It's hard for both parties, if we're being honest.
She goes on to ask, Do you think the 20-year sentencing is fair? Which he says this.
That would be all in the court's hands. I don't think I would really have a place to put too much judgment on them. So life will be what it'll be. Yes, ma'am.
So he kept it cute, says he cannot judge and that it's in the hands of the court. After all, this is his father he is talking about, but at the same time, he realizes he was wrong in this situation. In the interview, he said that he is an artist. I found his Instagram and YouTube pages where he goes by Bag Baby Million. I'm thinking that his name means he bags millions. On his Instagram page, he has over 12,000 followers. And on his music page on YouTube, he has over 1,000 followers. He is in his music video along with his father, Mystical, posted 5 years ago on his YouTube music channel. The song is called Tarantula. This video premiered on September 19th of 2020, so during the pandemic, and it has over 75,000 views. So I think it's safe to say that his music career has not taken off. Not just yet, anyway. In his videos, he seemed to be a tough guy flashing money and pow-pows. He comes across different in the interview. However, one is art and the other is reality. Let's hope he keeps himself grounded while pursuing his music career and don't get caught up in doing the wrong thing like his dad. He comes across in the interview as being level-headed. Let's check out the comments on X regarding this interview. And now, let's take a look at what the people are saying on X in regards to Mystical's son interview about him being locked up. One person says, "Not ready to visit your dad in prison after a 20-year grape sentence? That's not emotional. That's called having standards. At least be honest about it." All right, so he's responding to the title of this post by TMZ, where they caption this post. They say that Mystical's son says he's hoping for the best for his father, though he's not ready to visit him in prison yet. So TMZ said that they spoke with Million Tyler days after Mystical was sentenced to 20 years. So I guess this is his son's name, Million Tyler. So days after he was sentenced to 20 years for grape, and he said it's been an emotional time for the family. So back to this comment. This person said, "Not ready to visit your dad in prison after a 20-year grape sentence? That's not emotional. That's called having standards. At least be honest about it." Another person says, "Repeat offender? Throw away the key." So this is not Mystical's first rodeo in prison for allegations of these kinds. Another person says, "Does he know his father is a repeat strong-arm rapist? They should have never let him out after the first one." So this person is saying throw away the key. Another person says 20 years is a long time to process. I hope he finds clarity either way. Another person says the dude is lame because we did not know this dude until now. Man, shut the F. Using your father's downfall for your attention on these platforms. I bet your A is still living off his dad's money. Boo. All right, so while about 4 people were kind of supporting Mystical's son, this person is the naysayer. So there's always that 10% that has a different opinion. This person says, lost his life all for S? He is just stupid, stupid. And you wonder why M's staying single. He did not use protection when he did her from behind. Now that was just a little bit too much. And she says, "Ooh, I am staying single forever? Unbelievable." All right, so she is turned off by hearing all of these situations of people committing grape, is what I'm thinking. Because there has been a lot of this in the news as of late, from the allegations out there about Diddy, from the Epstein files. I mean, people are tired of this, and some people just don't even want to be in a relationship. So another person says, "Why the F would he do? Interview is just going to make things worse." Now, I cannot agree with that because what did Mystical say at the end of the trial? He said that if he did all of this, he deserved all the time. Another person says, is he eligible for parole after 85% or is it a flat 20? You know what? I'm thinking that since he took responsibility for what he did and was saying that he might deserve it, I'm thinking that that might actually help him in getting out of jail sooner, is my thought. Another person says, "Millie one of one. Don't even try to bash my guy or talk out the side of y'all nicks." So this person is vouching for Mystical's son. We're just going to read about 1 or 2 more comments. This person says, "He gave a great interview, very well spoken and answered genuinely." Shifting to another rapper's legal trouble, let's talk Twista. Twista, the Chicago rapper famed for his lightning fast delivery and hits like Overnight Celebrity, is in hot water after pleading guilty to $440,000 in tax evasion. Between 2019 and 2023, Twista, whose real name is Carl Mitchell, reportedly failed to pay income taxes despite earning revenue from streaming, royalties, performances, and album sales. According to court documents, both the IRS and his accountants repeatedly informed him of his outstanding tax debt. Instead of addressing the issue, prosecutors allege that Twista attempted to shield future royalty payments by entering into an agreement with a third-party company, effectively placing those funds out of the IRS's reach. Somebody should have told him not to mess with the IRS. They will make you broke overnight. They should have told him, right? The allegations don't stop there. Prosecutors claim that Twista, instead of paying off his tax liabilities, spent lavishly on luxury vehicles to maintain the public image he's cultivated over his 3-decade career. The tax troubles reportedly date back even further to 2011, showing a pattern of financial mismanagement. Special Agent Adam Joe from the IRS's Chicago field office emphasized the broader implications of the case, stating, "Too many honest Americans work hard, pay their taxes, and do the right thing to tolerate someone who believes the rules don't apply to them." He must have thought in his twisted mind he could get away with it. Twista has pled guilty to 5 counts of willfully failing to pay income tax, and he now faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. His sentencing is set for October 22nd, where a federal judge will weigh the sentencing guidelines and other factors. This marks a significant fall from grace for the rapper, who first rose to prominence in the late 1990s with a platinum-selling album and chart-topping hits. Twista's fast delivery may have set records in music, but it won't help him outrun the consequences of his financial missteps. So, according to Fox 32, Twista, whose real name is Carl Mitchell, pled guilty earlier this week to 5 counts of willfully failing to pay income tax after he allegedly did not pay income tax between the years of 2019 and 2023. He allegedly owes more than $440,000 in back taxes. Now, reportedly, Twista had to know about this tax debt because reportedly it said that IRS and Twista's accountants repeatedly informed him of the tax debt. This resolution underscores how some high-profile lawsuits function more as platforms for plaintiffs to voice concerns than as avenues for financial compensation. While Pike may feel he achieved his goal of raising awareness, the case never went to trial, and Minaj's dismissal request was granted. Speculation abounds as to why Pike dropped the case. Whether he ran out of resources or realized his case lacked merit remains unclear. What is evident is that Minaj's legal team successfully navigated the situation, ensuring the case did not escalate further. Now, according to court documents, despite his earning income from streaming revenue, royalties, performances, and album sales, prosecutors allege he attempted to circumvent the tax payment by entering into an agreement with a third-party company to acquire future royalty payments, funds that the IRS could not touch to satisfy his tax debt, which initially goes back to 2011. Prosecutors allege that instead of paying the taxes owed, Twista purchased several luxury vehicles to maintain a public image and lifestyle cultivated over the last 30 years. A special agent, Adam Joe, in charge of our ex-criminal investigations Chicago field office, said in a statement, he said, "Too many honest Americans work hard, pay their taxes, and do the right thing to tolerate someone who believes the rules don't apply to them." A special agent, Adam Joe, in charge of IS Criminal Investigations Chicago field office, said in a statement, he said, "Too many honest Americans work hard, pay their taxes, and do the right thing to tolerate someone who believes the rules don't apply to them." Now, it says by pleading guilty to each of the 5 counts, Twista faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, and it is said that a federal judge will determine the punishment after considering sentencing guidelines and other factors. His sentencing is scheduled for October the 22nd. Twist is known for his fast delivery, but I don't think his rapid delivery will get him out of this one. Twista released his sophomore album in 1997. The album went platinum, and it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 charts. It seems like these celebrities, with all their money and all their fame, they still cannot stay out of trouble. This is what is going on with Twista. What are your thoughts on this matter? Court documents allege that despite his earning income from streaming revenue, royalties, performances, and album sales, prosecutors allege he attempted to circumvent the tax payment by entering into an agreement with a third party company to acquire future royalty payments, funds that the IRS could not touch to satisfy his tax debt, which initially goes back to 2011. Prosecutors allege that instead of paying the taxes owed, Twista purchased several luxury vehicles to maintain a public image and lifestyle cultivated over the last 30 years. Enough about these male rappers. Let's give a female rapper some talk time. Things are looking up for Nicki Minaj. MAGA Nicki is what some call her. Nicki has emerged from a legal battle unscathed, as a $10 million defamation lawsuit against her has been dismissed. The case, brought by Tamir Peake, claimed that Minaj had called him a stalker and made disparaging remarks online. Peake, who described himself as a loyal fan, alleged that his primary goal was to challenge what he perceived as improper conduct and have his grievances heard in court. However, after a lengthy legal saga spanning several years, Peake ultimately chose not to pursue damages, agreeing to dismiss the case without a payout. Both parties has agreed to dismiss the cases. Well, the case was against Nicki Minaj, but she agreed to the dismissment. Tamir Peake dropped his $10 million defamation lawsuit against Nicki Minaj without securing any financial settlement. I would say that he is lucky that she did not go after him for her lawyer fees, but in any case, it looks like they will each have to pay their lawyer fees, and each will go ahead and move on. Now, I just said that now. This is according to information that is out there on the internet, so everything is allegedly. Allegedly. So it was said that he was seeking, his primary aim was to challenge conduct he saw as improper and to have his grievances heard in court. But it looks like those grievances will not be heard in court. Now, this has been a long time coming because the case followed an earlier 2024 lawsuit dismissed for judicial reasons. Though it is said that Tamir has ended his $10 million defamation and emotional distress lawsuit against Nicki Minaj, choosing not to oppose her dismissal request. So she requested for the dismissal and the case got dismissed. Well, I guess it took him long enough to dismiss the case. Now, they said that Tamir alleged that Nicki Minaj had called him a stalker and made other disparaging remarks online, so I guess he was not here for it and he decided to file a lawsuit. He said that his main purpose was to challenge what he saw as improper conduct. Well, I guess it's okay to be a barb, but not a stalker barb. I'm kidding. He's taking it a bit too far. Anyway, it's allegedly. Looks like she was not pursuing him, but he pursued her for calling him a stalker. The decision is a case that had been running for over a year without either side admitting wrongdoing. Though he is not deemed a stalker, so I guess he can continue to be a barb or whatever he was, as she does not have to pay out any money. It didn't even go to court. Now, this is a speculation as to why he walked away. He said that his primary purpose was to have his grievance formally heard and to challenge conduct he believed was improper. Feeling he had accomplished that, I guess he felt like he accomplished it without getting any type of payout. He opted not to continue the legal battle. Is this the real reason he decided not to continue the legal battle? Because it seems like this legal battle has been going on for a long time. Could it be that he ran out of fees to pay for lawyers? I am just speculating. Now, this unusual resolution underscores how some high profile lawsuits serve as platforms for plaintiffs to voice concerns rather than solely seek damages. Now, that's according to this article, but let me know what y'all think. Now, this appears to be a quotation from Tamir where he says, "My primary purpose in filing the lawsuit was to formally challenge conduct I believe to be improper and to have my grievances heard through the judicial process." And check this, the drop case had roots in a 2024 New Jersey federal lawsuit where Pike described himself as a loyal fan who spent tens of thousands supporting Minaj's career. Evidently, he paid tens of thousands of dollars, maybe to go to concerts, maybe buying merchandise is what I'm thinking. Did she want those tens of thousands of dollars back? But I digress. However, the earlier suit was dismissed in 2025 for lack of jurisdiction. But that did not stop Tamir, no, because Paik then refiled in New York, but ultimately ended the matter without pursuing damages, closing a multi-year legal saga. So it looks like Nicki Minaj's team drew it out long enough for the case to be dismissed. Information that's reported on this by Baller Alert and also by microsnews.com. But I want to hear what do you think about this? Do you think that Tamir should have pursued Nicki Minaj and taken it all the way to court? What is the reason that you think that the case might have gotten dismissed or he decided not to pursue it farther? Well, he couldn't have pursued it farther if it got dismissed, but he agreed to the dismissal as well. So it appears that he would have had to agree to the dismissal and not continue to retry to pursue Nicki Minaj. But I guess after the dismissal, he figured he did not have a strong case, is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm assuming. But like I said, I want to hear from you. Why do you think that Tamir dismissed this case and decided not to pursue it any farther? And also, why do you think that Nicki Minaj dismissed the case? One could say she had the case dismissed because she didn't feel like she did anything wrong. But I wonder if she can pursue legal fees. And if she can, will she, is the question. But let me hear from you. Make sure you leave a comment below. In an unrelated story, Nicki Minaj's mother, Carol Mirage, has secured a $400,000 settlement in a wrongful death lawsuit over the tragic loss of her husband, Robert Mirage. He was fatally struck by a car while walking in a crosswalk in New York in 2021. The driver, Charles Polovic, was sentenced to 1 year in jail for the incident. Carol Mirage's lawsuit argued that Polovic owed her compensation for the loss of companionship and other damages. The settlement includes $200,000 from Polovic and $100,000 from an insurance company, with the remaining amount allocated to legal fees and reimbursements. During the civil proceedings, Polovic sought to depose Nicki Minaj, citing her lyrics about her childhood as potentially relevant. However, the case was settled before Nicki became deeply involved. While no amount of money can replace a loved one, the settlement provides some measure of justice for the Mirage family. This tragic incident serves as a reminder of the far-reaching consequences of reckless actions. This is the settlement that she is reportedly receiving. TMZ says that they previously reported that Carol sued Charles, claiming he owed her money for her loss of companionship after he ran over Nicki's father while he was walking in a crosswalk in New York. His criminal case, Charles was sentenced to a year in jail. Unaliving of her husband. During the civil lawsuit, Charles was attempting to depose Nicki. He wanted to ask questions about her dad because some of her lyrics spoke negatively about her childhood. This is disturbing to hear. Now it looks like the case was settled before Nicki got dragged too far into this mess. Whatever issues she had with her dad, appears she was working her way through them to some extent, because I believe she said in one of her songs off of her latest album that her dad was on the way to meet his grandson, Nicki's son, for the first time when this happened. Just sad. From Twista's tax evasion to Mystikal's repeated legal troubles and Nicki Minaj's legal battles, these stories highlight the complexities and challenges that come with fame. While their careers have brought them into the spotlight, these incidents demonstrate that no one is above the law, and the consequences of poor decisions can be severe. If you don't got that Diddy money, your skin ain't light enough, and you are not able to cozy up to the president, just follow the rules or face the consequences. Don't be out there playing Russian roulette with your life. These are the stories we are following today. Make sure you like this video and go on ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.